Over the last decade, there hasn't been really significant increases to director fees of public sector organisations. There was a little bit actually under the last Labor government, I think in 2022. All we're being told is, look, that's actually got out of whack with what's happening in the private sector. Now, it's always never going to be enough, we're never going to pay what they pay in the private sector and the public sector for those board positions. But as you can imagine, as we rotate directors through, and naturally, one of the things we've been advised is that we need to make that a little bit more competitive so that we can actually attract good talent. And when you think about a spend like $32 billion, one in every five of government spending going into healthcare, and you want to get a really good board for Health New Zealand, if that's one of the things that means that we are limited in who we can attract to come onto the board, people who choose to do those public sector jobs, let's be clear, aren't doing it for the money per se, but it has got to such a point that the gap is completely out of whack. I understand we are spending billions and billions of dollars. If we get a high quality board and can attract people who want to come in and do these jobs, and if that's one of the things that even means that people don't even consider doing the jobs, they can save billions of dollars as a result of having a really good board or a really good governance team. So look, I understand it, but I'm just saying over the last decade, it's got to such a degree that we're being informed that actually we can't attract good people to want to come into the public sector to do some of those jobs.
Certainly good news if you're sitting at the top table, whilst people like teachers and nurses are being asked to settle for pay increases of 1% or less. In other words, a real terms pay cut. Their pay is going backwards right at the time when the cost of living crisis is really biting hard. I think the government should be really upfront in explaining why it is that they think that the people sitting around board tables are the people doing it hardest in this current economic climate. Actually, they're generally the people who are doing okay, whilst people on the lowest incomes, where the government are cutting support, are the people who are doing it really hard. What we found in government was that a lot of our private sector directors will do several private sector directorships and a public sector one as a form of public service. So they're not doing it for the money, they're doing it because they're actually motivated by altruistic motivations. These are people who they're often doing very well paid directorships in the private sector, and they will do public sector directorships. They don't want to be out of pocket for doing it, but they're not expecting to be paid the same in the public sector jobs as what they get in the private sector. I think there's another example of where the government are totally out of touch.